You can't just say, okay, he gave me these numbers, I'm just going to plug them in and get them done. And if there's a problem, that's their problem. No, you signed that return. You're part of that return. It's obvious that you supposedly check the numbers and advise the client as to what's going on and what he should be doing. So it depends on that as well. But yes, it depends on the areas as well as far as pricing.
Yep.
Yes, yes. And Roberto, I know you just jumped on now. We're talking about pricing, like if there's ranges of pricing for partnership services.
Here's what I tell everybody. There's Walmart and there's Macy and everything in between. So it depends on your market, but it depends on your regional more than anything. And how much is worth it to you also. It's not the time, it's the knowledge that you provide.
Mhm.
And the knowledge doesn't come on preparing a return, but in advising the taxpayer how to minimize taxes. That's where the value is. Anybody, I mean, there's no requirement to file a federal tax return, for God's sake, okay? I mean, anybody can do it. That doesn't mean they're going to do it correctly or that the result between the legal parameters will be the best for the taxpayer. That's where your value comes.
Yep, completely agree with you, and it's true. And and I mean, just to give an example, I have done the cheapest partnership return I have done with a very little transactions. It was practically just kind of filling the forms and almost blank. It's been like $300. The most expensive partnership return I have done is getting over $7,000.
Wow.
How? Because of what Pascual said. It depends on the complexity. It's a return that took me I think close to 80 hours of my time doing it because of the complexity. They had almost every schedule available to the term form. The form itself was about this thick by the time I was done with it, with so many forms. But again, it takes it. It depends on the complexity.
Totally agree. And like I said, I mean, we probably shouldn't be discussing fees
I don't know.
necessarily,
That's what I said. A huge. That's what I gave a huge range.
but
But it's not.
I don't touch a corporate return for less than $550, period. And that's if I get books that are okay. And that's a corporate. A partnership is a little bit more difficult
Yep.
and it depends on the complexity. So yeah, I don't touch a partnership for less than $1,000 because it's not only the knowledge, it's also keep in mind the liability.
Ah,
Okay, when those partners
True.
get into a fight and have to testify, okay, you got to charge taking that into consideration.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Next question.
yeah. Next question is here's a question about deducting meals. It says, how do you determine whether it's 50% deductible, 80%, or 100%? But I think there's confusion because all business meals are 50% deductible.
It is not for film, but 80% is actually for truck drivers.
Oh, truck driver.
So that's one of the thing. And the as far as the 100%, I've never deducted one at 100%. I know there's an option there. And to be honest with you, I don't know anyone that qualifies for that. So, do you have any experience with that, Pascual? 100%. I've done it with Christmas parties, company picnics. Those are all 100% deductible as far as meals. All right, that makes sense. All
If,
right.
if you provide meals to your employee for the convenience of the business, then it's 100%.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like in tax season right now that we're working, and somebody says, "I'll be back. I'm going for a burrito." Say, "Heck no, you're not. Call it in." In here, that's exactly right. You're absolutely right. Okay, next question.
Our next question is, do you recommend working with a business attorney? Do you guys like Ricardo, Pascual, or Roberto? You guys have like a business relationship with somebody local in town that you refer legal work to?
I do myself. I do. I do have someone that does legal work, and I refer work to them, and they refer work to me too. So it's a two-way street. I have no problem working with attorneys.
I don't have a particular person myself right now, but definitely looking for someone. But I usually tell them, find someone that's in the area that they're having problems with, if that's the case, and so forth. But I don't have. I used to have, but they retired, so I don't have one right now.
Yes, I do myself, and it depends on what kind of legal advice they need. Okay, like trust and things like that. They are no lawyers touch that. And believe it or not, that's a big source of referral for me. Those networking circles that you develop with lawyers and investment advisors and so on.
Yep. There's a question here that I'm going to answer online.
Yeah, let's do it.
What does a registered agent do? In a nutshell, nothing. No, I'm just kidding. They are there in case that you need to be served. The corporation needs to be served for something legal, maybe some tax liens or something against the corporation or against the LLC or whatever. So the registered agent is the go-to person. They go to them specifically for that. And now the registered agent's person job is to contact the client, say, hey, dude, I got a lawsuit for you here, or you got some tax liens coming your way, or you come to my office and pick this up. All you act is as strict as an agent. You don't do anything as far as to represent them or anything like that. You're just like a mailbox for them, but they have to have a human person to sign for papers and all that. That's what the registered agent is for. And you can do it. You can be your own. And there are companies that you can pay them $100 a year or something like that for them to become your registered agents.
Perfect. Yeah. Any other questions, everyone? Let's see. As an EA, have any of you found, here's a good one. As an enrolled agent, have any of you found instances when you had to refer a client to a CPA or share work with the CPA or CPA firm?
I have never had the need to refer to a CPA. CPAs have contacted me for representation purposes because that might not be the field of expertise, but even though they can do it, but if it's not something they handle on a day-to-day basis, they might not feel comfortable enough. Now, I have never had the need of a CPA, to be honest with you. I don't know you guys.
I've had only twice I've had to refer it out to a CPA, but that had to do with either forensics audit or compilations, meaning that they had to sign off on it and so forth, since we don't have the legal right to sign off or anything. None of my work that I had to send out or any tax preparation or anything of that sort, but I did for people who come in asking for my services for that, and I refer it out to CPA. Other than that, not really, not my own work and so forth, or something that I feel that I can't do, not really.
On my particular case, yeah, like the same Pascual, certified financial statements, things like that. However, here's the funny thing. Not all CPAs do taxes or no taxes. And there's a couple of CPAs in town that I do taxes for some of their clients. They refer the clients to me for the tax preparation aspect of it.
That's because we actually have, I think, about 4 or 5 actual CPAs that do their taxes with me, their personal taxes with me, because they don't want to know nothing about taxes.
Yep. I have a client like that too. Here's a question that I'm going to answer online too. Can we discuss, or can you recommend contracts with clients? I've heard of colleagues who usually have taxpayers sign a contract prior to preparing a business return. What's your advice on that? Absolutely necessary. Those are called engagement agreements or letters of engagement. So yes, the engagement agreements protect you from several things. Number one, it protects you from those clients that hire you to do one thing and then end up wanting you to do 10 different more things and think that the fee they pay you for the first one covers the whole thing. That's number one. Number two, it protects your liability to the point of I am giving you, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what you need to do for me. This is how much my service is going to cost. And this is how much my fees are going to be in the event that you, the taxpayer, fail to notify me of this or fail me to bring me information or whatever it is. All that specified on an engagement agreement. I don't know whether Latino Tax Force, do we have any of those in our database that the people can download? If not, I can, certainly upload one, and pass it on in tomorrow's class. Because it applies to what it's not only for partnerships, it is good for whatever tax services you do. It's just an engagement agreement I use, and that's it. But yeah, I certainly recommend the use of one.
Yeah, if you could upload one, yeah, I'll double check if we have one. But if you have one, great. That way we can share that with everybody.
I not only agree with that 100%, even for personal taxes,
Oh, yeah.
but also get paid upfront. At least a huge retainer. Let's call it that. Okay.
Especially when you're doing business returns. If you're going to be doing a business return, let's say just for the sake of argument that you're going to charge them $1,200 because it is complex. It has several K1s. It has 3 bank accounts that you got to make sure they're reconciled and tied to the balance sheet, etc. Let's say that you come up with that, and you start working on that. I would not definitely want to do it, do it without getting paid at least 50% up front. That's pretty much what I would recommend, for you guys to do the same, because there's always going to be someone, oh man, the guy across the street did it for me cheaper. Just give me my things and you did all the work. It's like, no.
Exactly.
Granted, probably not going to find those clients doing business, shopping, but it could happen.
I've done this also when I feel that I have a new client coming in with a either a partnership or something of the sort that I don't know all the details completely. They only bring me partial information. I would give them a worst case scenario and say, look, this is the worst case scenario based on the information so far that I have. It's only a one person S corp or disregarded entity as far as LLC or anything like that, or obviously not a partnership, but something of that sort. I'll give them a worst case scenario and say, look, this is the worst case scenario. From there, depending on the work I have to do, I can discount it from there on. And then obviously I got my little wiggle room. But yes, I do usually ask for something ahead of time. If it's regarding the bookkeeping, they get an engagement letter. And within the engagement letter, they are also agreeing to ACH payments. Ooh. So therefore, I will charge their card or bank account, actually their bank account, every single month for my fees until they cancel at least 30 days ahead of time. So I'm not worried about I'm not getting paid and so forth. And the person, in this case, my wife, she's the one that handles on the between the 1st and the 5th, all payments are being generated and we get paid right away. So by them agreeing to that, they know that those fees are going to be paid no matter what.
Yeah, because do you have, Pascual, I think we talked about this before. You have like different packages, right? Like different, is it kind of like a subscription that somebody could subscribe to your services? Do you bundle things? Or?
For bookkeeping, we have the full service, mid service, and smaller services. So if it's a full service, obviously they are bringing all their documents, all the receipts to us. They have to give us access to their bank account. Whether it's through their login if they were willing to give that, but we tell them to go to the bank and set up an accountant login so that we have a download. We use QuickBooks Online and that's all we use. It's QuickBooks Online. We don't use QuickBooks Desktop. So we pull the feeds every single day. And then from there, we also provide them. We use an advertisement, Receipt Bank.
Yeah, Receipt Bank. Oh, cool. Yeah.
So Receipt Bank, we use Receipt Bank, and each one of whoever is going to be having receipts and so forth, they will get their own little login from their phone. All they have to do is go to Home Depot if they're going to get something at Home Depot, take a picture of it, and it goes straight to their account. We're able to extract it from there and get things and get everything inputted into the system and record the expense or even the income. We even have them send it for income purposes. Even though it's not for the income purposes, we have them send it for income purposes. The restaurants that we do, every single day, they have to send us that Z tape and they have to send us the settlement for the credit cards. So we get that every single day. We get access to the credit card online system, and we're able to, compare to make sure if there's anything that was maybe crossed over to the following day. Because sometimes with credit cards, you never know what time they have that cutoff, and if that cutoff doesn't match that day's sales, that's because it probably rolled over to the following day. So we make sure we try to automate it as much as we can. That way the client doesn't even have to come in hardly at all. Everything gets done and they don't lose receipts that way. We have a good retention rate as far as receipts. We get almost most of our clients we get at least probably 95 to 98% of the receipts we have available to back it up, other than whether it's the bank account or credit card account and so forth.
Got it. And how does Receipt Bank, how does it work? Do they, like, if I go buy some supplies for my company, I just take a copy of the receipt as soon as I go to Home Depot, and then it uploads to the QuickBooks Online?
So they'll have an app. They'll open up their app. It tells you for the photo. You take a picture of it. It'll upload it, and then Receipt Bank will actually extract the information. So it'll extract the name of the vendor's name. It'll extract the amount that was paid. Sometimes they even do line by line, depending on what you want to do. Obviously, you have to be diligently looking at it and make sure that it's correct and it's accurate. I mean, computers are computers, and there's no such thing as 100% accuracy. But the fact that so far, it's been about a 97% accurate rate on all our stuff that we've had so far, even with handwritten items. So, and having a PDF, once we have that, we're able to publish it directly from Receipt Bank to QuickBooks Online. But we did everything that we had to do as far as mapping it to the expense or mapping it to the income, etc. So when we do send it to QuickBooks Online, everything's done, including setting the PDF attached to that expense in QuickBooks Online. So we have it in both sides. We have it both from Receipt Bank and in QuickBooks Online. The receipt is there. So if there's an audit, we're able to go to that expense and immediately press the PDF and open up, and here's that receipt that backs up that expense.
Got it. And does it match it with the bank feed coming in? Like if it's an expense, if you swipe a credit card, does it match the receipt and then the credit card expense?
No, I know you that they have that like for American Express and so forth.
Oh, okay.
That can be done through QuickBooks Online. So all our bank fees are done through QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, that's what I meant, through QuickBooks Online. Because QuickBooks Online, you have your, say, business credit card connected. Right. So when you swipe at Home Depot, it comes in as an expense from Home Depot, and then Receipt Bank comes in through the picture. And then, does it match on QuickBooks Online?
Yeah, well, Receipt Bank will automatically send it. We won't because it's the receipt that you paid on the spot. So it's an expense. It's not a bill, or it's not an invoice. It's an actual expense. If it was a bill or invoice, then yes, we can still send it to QuickBooks as an invoice, and then when the feed comes in, it'll match.
Okay, let me answer this.
Thank you.
Is there any advantage on having an LLC with two members instead of one? There is no advantage at all, one or the other, but it is what you want to do. The purpose of the LLC is to protect you from liability of others. So whether it's one or two, it's irrelevant. If it's one, you can still report on the Schedule C, or you can choose to be reported as an S corporation or a C corp. It doesn't matter. And if there's two or more, same thing applies. You can choose to be reported as 1065, S corporation, or C corp. So the number of members, it's irrelevant. The purpose of the LLC is to provide you that protection. So there is no advantage one over the other. No, they both have the same protection. Another quick question. Will you guys be covering K1 trusts? The answer is no, sorry. That's a completely different class, and on its own, and it's probably longer than 2 days. But that's something that we're not covering at this particular time. Okay, what information is it and the statement of information. Varies by state. Let me answer live. But in California, it's usually name and address, any changes to the ownership. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pascual, because you're a California guy. Statement of information on LLCs is usually your name and address and any changes in case there's new members, and that's about it, right?
In fact, if there's no changes, there's a little box that says no change, and just sign the bottom, and off it goes. Other than that, it'll ask for name, address, the officers and directors. There has to be at least one director, and the officers can be the same one. The directors can be the same one. So secretary, president, vice president, all of them can be the same one.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's kind of information that you have there. Another question here. Let me answer that. No, you know what? Let's do it live. Is Drake a reliable software? Yes, it is.
You use Drake, Ricardo?
I use Drake. Can you tell?
Oh, yeah. No, I've heard people. Oh, do you use it too, Roberto? I didn't know that.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Ah, cool. Because I keep hearing that they have really good support. Like when you need help, they just answer that.
Support is second to none. Unlike Intuit, when you call Intuit and you're there like for 40 minutes before they answer. Now, with them, it's like a third ring, boom, somebody's there. And it's not a, thank you for calling Drake. Please listen to our menu. Our options have changed. No, human beings say, hi, this is Sally. Can I help you? And it's immediate. So their support is definitely number one.
Awesome. Who do you use, Pascual? I'm curious.
I use Crosslink through a service provider called Azteca.
Ooh, Azteca. Azteca tax systems, right?
Right. So they're one of our partners as well. And with them, their support has been phenomenal, at least with Azteca. The service bureaus, each one do their own support. So with Azteca, I usually by the second ring, boom, it's up, and they got me going. Crosslink has been good. I did use Pro Series for 25 years.
Wow, 25 years.
I agree with Ricardo. After a while, it was just way too much and so forth. I did try Drake, but you're looking at, there's two different type of systems. There's form-based and then there's menu-based. And for Crosslink, Pro Series, all these are form-based.
Okay.
Drake is menu-based. So it takes quite some time to convert from someone who's used to doing form-based to a menu-based and create that fluidity that we have. I mean, we do an average of about 11 to 1,200 returns during tax season between two of us. And so therefore, that's a high volume of people in the office and so forth. And we can't afford to not know the software like the back of our hands.
Yeah.
We don't want to be calling tech support, every 5 minutes. If I have to call tech support, it's because definitely is way beyond the ability to find something and so forth. And usually it's because it's just hitting in the back. Yeah. But when I did try Drake and so forth, I mean, I like the results. I like what it does. It does great calculations. I can't say nothing bad about Drake other than I can't get through it fast enough that I can, let's say, with Crosslink or something like that. The nice thing about the two systems also is that it's truly a professional system. You need to know what you're doing. You need to kind of have an idea as to what type of results you want. It's not like what Ricardo had mentioned, that these menu-based ones where they're not menu-based like Drake, but I mean, ask questions, questionnaire type and so forth. No. I mean, you really need to know what you're doing in order to get the results you want. Your software is just to be able to get through it, simpler. You don't have to use a calculator or something like that. I mean, all of us here so far, I don't know about Tony, but we're probably at one time or another, we're used to doing it by hand. Do all these returns and you're here doing it by hand and so forth and using the calculator and so forth for the clients at one point or another. We've been around long enough. And so, yeah, Roberto. Well, Roberto's the younger one of all and so forth. So he's, and so forth. So he's probably wondering, well, I don't know what he's talking about. So, but that being said, our software is meant as a tool to get things done faster. But we do need to know what we're doing.
Yeah.
One question. you mentioned doing it by hand and calculator. Do you remember Chinese abacus?
Chinese what?
Abacus?
Abacus?
Yeah.
Heard of it.
Heard of it.
Get back.
I used it.
You don't know how to use it? Tony, can we arrange a seminar to teach Pascual how to use a Chinese abacus?
Chinese abacus. Yeah, I don't know how to use it either. Just
Man, that really put in an H&Rs, man, Roberto. I know I used it in school, so anyway,
cool.
just get a few more questions answered here.
Do it.
Okay, can we please talk about converting or upgrading a sole proprietorship to an LLC? Yes, all you need to do is forming your LLC and changing, your bank account. You need to have a new bank account, and you need to have a new AIN. And then you need to decide to, whether you're going to continue to report as a Schedule C, or you're going to change and select to be reported as an S corporation. That will be, those are the most common ones. The S corporation comes to hand because you avoid the double taxation. And you also avoid self-employment income, tax on the earnings, provided that you put yourself in payroll. You gotta make sure that you're in payroll, you pay payroll taxes, Social Security, and the whole caboose. And then at the end, and then this is very prominent. Doctors do this a lot. They use S corporations in their business, and they put themselves in payroll. They put themselves with a salary that is believable. Let's say, you cannot say that I'm an MD and I drive the company's car, which happens to be a Lamborghini, and I live in a house in Maui, and my salary is $50,000 a year. Okay, that is not reasonable. It's not believable. But let's say that you have the similar situation, but instead of having all that, you assign yourself a salary of a doctor. Let's say $100,000 a year. That's a reasonable salary for a doctor. And then if your company has, let's say, a $200,000 profit at the end of the year, that $200,000, yeah, you pay taxes, but they're not subject to self-employment tax. Not subject to Social Security. So that's the how you would handle that situation. But if all you want is the liability protection, if you're a sole proprietor and you want the protection of your personal liability and all that stuff, then you form the LLC and continue to file as a Schedule C. That's no big deal. But you need to form the LLC and have a different AIN and change everything to run through the LLC, not through your personal bank account. That, those days are over.
That's the biggest challenge, getting people to, instead of use their personal bank account, to open a business bank account and only use it for business transactions, number one. Number two, the second challenge is, if they want to be an S Corp, is taking a salary, because they're not used to that. So there you have a problem. And as far as the salary, as Ricardo said, a reasonable salary. And if you're an S Corp and you have a car that you're using, a business car that you're using for your personal also, that part is part of the salary, by the way. If you are a 2% or larger shareholder of an S Corp.
But you also need to keep in mind that whenever we're talking about LLCs and all these different type of entities to protect ourselves, you need to make sure that you don't pierce that corporate veil. What do I mean by that? Commingling, using your corporate card to pay for personal expenses. I mentioned that before in the day, but one of the reasons is making sure that you don't use this as your personal cash cow, because otherwise the limited liability goes away. That umbrella that you had, it's pierced. and this now is obviously useless. So in order for that to be intact, you need to keep business separate. Let's see. You got here. Could a member have an ITIN number? The answer is yes and no. It depends on where you're gonna go. I have had members of an LLC with ITINs, and they had chosen to be treated as a C corporation. There's no problem there at all. Can they choose to be treated as an S corporation? No, they cannot, because they are not legal residents of the United States. In a partnership, yeah, it can fly in a partnership, but again, it depends. I also have found that it really depends on what region your clients are at, because the Austin Center acts very different than from Fresno. And I tell you that I have had same situation from both centers, and the answers are A, Z, totally different. So and it happens. So let's see. Are all LLC, S corp, or C corp happens to have a lawsuit, and they pay out damages? Can that be deducted? Damage, okay, in a lawsuit. That is actually a legal question. That is not a tax question, because normally damages, if you're liable for damages, you normally cannot deduct that on any circumstances. But I don't know. What's your take on that, Roberto?
I differ from you, and I'm going to give my canned answer to most tax questions. It depends.
There you go.
Honestly, it depends. And actually, an EA question, EA test, if there's something legal called treble, which basically is 3 times the amount of the judgment because there's fraud involved, then you cannot deduct it. And like I said, it depends. It depends the kind of judgment there is. Is there's fraud? Is there something that broke the law? No, it's non-deductible. However, other damages could be deductible.
Okay, thank you. See, I haven't had that experience. The only one that I have had, it wasn't deductible. So that tells you what kind of return it was. So anyway, thank you for answering that, Roberto.
It's like, for example, legal fees. Are they always deductible? That's a polling question, by the way.
It depends, of course, it depends.
It depends. Absolutely.
Another question is interesting. Can a DBA obtain an AIN without registering it as an LLC? The answer is yes, but only if you're going to start doing payroll. If you're going to be issuing payroll through the DBA, then yeah, you can get an AIN for that particular business. You're going to end up reporting on your Schedule C, but yeah, you can. So that answers that question.
That also covers even if you don't have payroll, but you have like road tax. In California, if you have road tax on that, they require that you have an EIN.
Oh yeah, there you go.
To get your road tax license for CHP, etc. So there are other circumstances where they require EIN. Now, EIN also will help you protect your Social Security number. So if people are asking you for a W-9 where you have to disclose, your name, address, and social number or EIN number, it will protect that Social Security for him being out there, just being out in the world there.
There's a question here from Sonia that I don't quite understand, because is it okay for all it to be online, including payment? Sonia, if you can reword that question, I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't quite know the answer to that one.
I think she meant when you were covering creating an LLC online, maybe that's what she said. Because isn't there like a bunch of, they could do like LegalZoom or CorpNet. There's a bunch of legal.
Sorry, that was to form an LLC online. Yeah, that's fine. You can do that. You can, including payment information, you can do it online. The Secretary of State's website are secure. So yeah, you can do that. That's no problem. Let me see. We got a few questions left here. Can you elaborate on the filing of Form 568? That's California, dude. Let me hand it over to the California master here. Pascual.
Form 568. I'm lost on that one.
I think is that the LLC form you file with the state of California?
The Form 568 is a California form. I believe is when you owe no taxes or something like that, but I'm not sure. But I will do those.
That, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that if you have more than certain amount of money in gross receipts, that you have to file your 568 in order to pay additional taxes on an LLC. So LLC in California is not just that $800 fee that you have. If you have more than a certain amount, and I don't have that table in front of me, if you have certain amount of gross receipts, then the fee will continue to go up as far as your minimum tax per year. And it can go up, I think, as far as $2,400 for the year to have your LLC. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what
I see here. It says Form 568 is the return of income that many limited liability companies are required to file with the state of California. So when you have an LLC, you gotta, depending on your entity, you gotta file with the IRS, but you still have to submit a Form 568 to the state to kind of let them know your activity.
Got it. Yeah, it's in place of the 100. I mean, I don't do much of the partnerships. I haven't done a partnership in 7 years, something like that. All of them partnerships, we try to convert them over to S corporation, because most people who've done their LLCs, they've done it because of tax purposes and didn't realize that they're not getting any tax benefit out of it, and so on.
Okay.
568 is basically your return.
A few questions left. Let's go ahead and run through them.
Awesome.
So, for example, construction companies who buy food or let's say Gatorades, water for their contractors during the summertime. Is it 100% deduction? The answer is yes on that one. Okay, let's see, there's two more. What's the deadline to file a change of election of a business? To file to change the election is usually 2 years, I remember, if I remember correctly. But the initial election, like I said, if you choose not to make a change, there's no deadline. You just leave it there. That's it. But once you file that, though, then you gotta wait 5 years. So actually, you gotta what 60 months. So that might entail a lapse of 6 years. It depends on when you file it. But that's after an initial election.
Okay. You can also, at the beginning of a fiscal year, you have 75 days to make an election retroactive to the beginning of that year. So if you're an LLC, a partnership, and want to be taxed, let's say, as a corp or S corp, and you have your regular calendar year, you have until, I think it's March 15 to make the election to be taxed as whatever you want, effective at the beginning of that year.
Okay. So just like the S corporation election.
Right.
That is exactly by March 15. Okay. Are you guys part of a network group? Where can we reach out to you for future questions?
Nice.
Great. If we will ever be half as good as you, that will be wonderful. I like your comments. Thank you, Humberto. I appreciate your kind words. We are part of Latino Tax Pros. That's our group right there. And I'm in Texas. Mr. Ponce is in Florida. And Garcia is in California. And Tony's in California. And we get together and party once in a while in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So,
what happened in Vegas, stay in Vegas. And for the record, I don't know any of these three guys.
There you go. And usually the Latino Tax Fest is wonderful. This year, of course, we couldn't do it because we were locked out because of the coronavirus. But nonetheless, this is what it was. It's not going to be in December. So I would strongly suggest for you to register and see us there, because we're all gonna be there. All four of us here are gonna be there, along with Carlos and all the presenters that you had this time, Sergio and man, I forgot their first names. I got their faces from my head, but
Josue, Sergio, and Andres too.
Andres, there you go. See all of that. And the last one. So for a disregarded entity LLC, A client in California has to file both California 540 and California 568.
No,
Is that right?
no, no. The 568 is only if you're doing, let's say, a 1065.
Okay. So that's the answer. So 568 is only if you're doing a 1065 in California. Okay, that's your answer. So this regarded entity, which be a Schedule C, will flow to your 540 in the same way that it always has.
Correct.
All right. And looks like there's no more questions.
Wow, we actually went through all the questions.
We
Like how
actually
many?
went through the questions. All right.
We answered 173 questions today. And somebody did ask, could we get a copy of all the questions? I think Zoom gives a report of all the questions, so I'll definitely check that out. But that's a great job. That's a lot of questions.
There was
Right. Well,
on there that that I went and answered there for those who were asking questions regarding the S corporations, like what the compensations would be for a for the shareholders and so forth. And like I mentioned to them, we'll be answering those questions on Friday. So we're trying to stay within the scope of what was taught today. And then tomorrow, Roberto will be handling C corporations and so forth. So be ready to ask those questions as well, and getting a lot of information, because he's really detail oriented as well, and you'll be able to get a lot of it. And then on Friday, obviously, I'll be working on the S corporation. So I get the easy part because they did all the hard work and so forth.
all right. So anyway, so I'm leaving the classroom, and this is what I'm heading right now.
All right. Oh,
Nice.
awesome.
Anyway, you guys have been wonderful. I only wish I could have seen everybody, like we normally do in our meetings face to face. But I hope you guys enjoyed the seminar. I hope that we answered your questions, and I'll be here tomorrow to heckle Mr. Pons and.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that possible, Tony, to have be able to see our attendees?
Yeah. Let's see here. What attendees, and then actually, yeah. See, I can see people raising their hand. So there you
Yes.
go. So I'm gonna allow a few you could say. You see they're popping up. So if anybody wants to say hi,
But
that way we could have you there.
Put your cameras on though, because we cannot see you
Hi,
without your camera.
everybody. Thank you for sharing with us all that knowledge. That is very important.
There they are. Nice. Everybody's popping up.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but nobody has a camera.
I know. We want to see some faces. Come on, guys.
In the future, Tony, if you have access to it, that maybe some people can ask the question online, so that everybody else can hear it as well. Because some people may not be able to, tag along with all those questions and so forth. If whenever we want to open up the mic, it's kind of like opening up the mic at the convention.
Yeah, exactly. I think if anybody could hear us, we could. Let me see here. I think there is a way to do that. So we could do that now, or for sure tomorrow. There's a feature you could raise your hand, everyone, and then once we see that hand raised, here you speak. Oh, like somebody's saying something. So if anybody wants to say a few words, I think we're able to hear you. But thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
For those who are out there.
Bye, everybody. See you soon. See you tomorrow. So tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, which is 12 Eastern again. C corporations.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
in the middle of my lunch time.
Oh yeah, it's your lunchtime, huh?
All right.
Cool. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.